Background. My husband comes from a poor background, as in he could not attend college because he had to take up a job in our country's defense forces the moment he was 18. I, on the other hand, come from a middle-class family, as in could attend college and even have a master's degree, but nothing super fancy. We were married, arranged marriage, when I was 24 and he was 25. Before our marriage, all my husband's salary went directly to his family, which means 7 years of income, people. A major part of which actually went to his brother-in-law, as he was too special to find a job. Also, could not keep one for longer than a year. When I came to my husband's house, my brother-in-law already had 4 children with his wife pregnant with the 5th. My brother-in-law's credit was a mess, as he had taken multiple loans for funding his alcoholic, holier-than-thou lifestyle, and my husband was a complete pushover with no spine of his own to speak up for himself. It took me 2 years and a toddler, blessed with a baby boy, to force him to grow a spine, as now he had a family of his own and needed to take care of it. I had to make him understand that he can no longer send 90% of our income to his brother and force us to brink of bankruptcy, as his brother cannot afford his own lifestyle. Slowly and slowly, my husband stopped sending them any money, as his parents had enough income to maintain themselves, and it was high time for his brother to get off his lazy ass and do some stuff. Main story. Now this is the main event that took place about 5 years ago, when my husband was 30, that forced us to go no contact with my in-laws and a major part of my husband's family. My brother-in-law now had 5 children, blessed with all girls, was on brink of bankruptcy, and already used a major part of his inheritance that he was going to be passed down from his parents. This interaction took place on my first 2 nieces' wedding. They had a joint wedding and reception, as my brother-in-law didn't have the money for 2 separate weddings. Entitled mother to husband. You should start helping your brother again, as he is having a lot of troubles with funds lately. Husband. We are in a pretty tight spot ourselves, Mom, especially with Ellen, me, pregnant with the 2nd child. Entitled sister-in-law. Well, then you should help your brother even more, as you know what it feels like to be with a pregnant woman. After all, we are also expecting. Me. What? You are pregnant again? My actual words. Entitled mother. What do you mean, daughter-in-law? Aren't you happy? It can actually be a boy this time. Not everyone is as lucky as you, who gets a boy on the first chance. Me, flabbergasted. What the duck are you talking about? I won't treat a daughter any different than a son. Entitled sister-in-law. Well, you can say that since you already have a son. I don't care about what entitled brothers and entitled sister-in-law's lifestyle choices are, but I can't share any more money with them, as I have my own family now, and we need to save to buy a house and start son's college fund, etc. Entitled mother. You don't have any right to speak about your brother like that. He is trying to improve. A lie. He also has responsibilities. Me, laughing. Right, as if he knows what responsibilities are. Entitled sister-in-law. You be. Her actual words. You dare speak about my husband like that. Everyone was now looking at us. She gets into my face and actually tries to punch a very pregnant me. Husband, stopping her mid-air. You dare. She is pregnant, and even if she was not, how could you think that you can punch her? Me, shocked plus angry. We shall leave now. I don't think we are welcome in this wedding anymore. Husband follows me without speaking any other thing. We got many vile and abusive messages, and even threats from his side of the family on how we spoiled our niece's marriage and how family always comes first. Fortunately, we had never given my in-laws our address, and even if they could get it somehow, no one would have had the money for the plane ticket, as we lived at the geographically opposite corner of the country at that time. Also, we have shifted twice since then and have blocked out most of his side of the family, leaving out some of his sensible cousins and uncles, aunts, etc., and informed everyone on my side of the family, plus our friends, to maintain absolutely no contact with them. Edits. Here are the answers to a lot of the common questions asked. Yes, I am from Asia. The 6th child was actually a boy. Thank God, or I don't know till how long they would have continued. First things first. I'm a licensed massage therapist who specializes in post-surgical and injury work. But I work outside the insurance sector because I'm able to help people whose insurance wouldn't cover their services. Read, the clinic I work for is much cheaper than traditional clinics. I'm leaving my job that this occurred at, and because it's been over a year, I feel comfortable anonymously posting this story. Because it's straight up the craziest encounter I've ever had in my line of work. Okay, not worse than the guy who tried to get me to give him a pity HJ, but he's gross, and that story doesn't belong here. Anyways, that background is important because we are trained to not counsel our patients. Some of them take therapists too literally. But you can't just tell them to stop talking about a subject and you're supposed to be supportive. Quote, even if they're bat crap crazy, unless they're doing something to endanger themselves or someone else, you smile and use a supportive tone of voice. Let's call this client Angela, like from The Office. Because like Angela, she was abrasive, judgmental, and a big ol' hypocrite. And oh man, does she love cats. Angela has been seeing me on and off for about a year and a half, and has casually mentioned her kids, occasionally venting about some family drama with them. I know most people who vent to me on the table are looking for validation, and I know to take what they say with a little bit of salt. So when she would tell me slightly outlandish stories of her daughter and son rebuffing her love, as they were college graduates, daughter was finishing her senior year, I just assumed it was normal pulling away stuff. One of her last appointments before this event, she casually mentioned her son had gotten engaged, which was a shock to me because she had never mentioned a girlfriend. After a few months of not seeing her, I see I have her on my schedule. I groan and go to grab her and ask how she's been, and teasingly mentioned it had been a while since I had seen her. Was it something I said? LOL. I say this to everyone in a very joking manner. It usually breaks tension. Her reply, no, you never offended me. It's that bee of a wife my son has. Whoa, what? I'm awkward, so I giggle and go, sorry, I'll be back in a few. Get on the table, blah blah, professional stuff. When I get back in the room, I hoped she was not going to elaborate further on the story, but I wouldn't be here if she went that direction, would I? She launches into a story about how her son's Yoko, yes, she called her this and only this besides B, had been spreading lies and manipulating her son against her. Per policy, I sigh, say that sounds tough, try to get her to take deep breaths so we can switch the subject, but she drops this little gem that I'm ashamed to admit reeled me in. It wasn't even that bad. I don't understand what the big deal about us sharing a bed until he was 16 is. She makes me sound like a child, Em. Ew. Obviously, ew. Well, Angela, I'm not really qualified, so I rubbed his back and shoulders and I would cuddle with him. It's normal parent stuff. She doesn't get to make judgments. She wasn't wiping his butt until he was 7. OMG, no, too much. I'm actually pretty She sat up and smiled. I know, she's the worst, right? Well, my son's cat passed away, and I know how much she meant to him growing up, and she was the only other woman who loved him like I did. But they wouldn't answer my calls. I wanted to make sure he could say goodbye. Normally I have the balls to shut crap down. I'm not sure if I was enraptured by the drama and wanted to know more, or if I knew where it was going and was too shocked. What do you mean? Well, normally when the cats die, we drive them off to my parents' property to bury. But since they passed, the land was sold, and I wanted to make sure he could properly say goodbye, so I preserved her. Like taxidermy? She made big eyes. Taxidermy? Ugh, that's so creepy. I'd never do that. Cue inner sigh of relief. No, I just froze her for about a week so she'd still look good when he said goodbye. I guess the look on my face said, please tell me more. No, you got this all wrong. I put her in a plastic bag and it was my outside freezer. I needed to clean it anyway. Please tell me you don't still have a cat in your freezer. No, I realized after a week it's been too long, and they didn't answer my calls, so I decided to just take it in my own hands. I wanted to make sure he saw her and paid respects. I know how much this means to him. I knew what was coming, but it didn't kill any shock. I don't get why she needed to call the cops. I was trying to do something nice. I made the box myself. That way, he could bury her in the backyard. Cue this face. Yep, she left her kid's childhood dead cat frozen inside a box on their front porch and had the gall to be angry at Yoko? That's insane. Like, literally crazy. Ugh, thank you, I know. I've been saying this for weeks. No, you. That's effing crazy. I'd freak out too if I had a dead animal on my porch. She didn't like the fact that I didn't immediately jump to her support, and when she started raising her voice, I decided it was a perfect time to end our session. She called to complain about me to my manager later, who did chew me out a little over it because you instigated it. You should have just listened and kept your opinions to yourself. How dare I? My husband has always had issues with his mom. Mother-in-law is legitimately gorgeous, pretty much father-in-law's sugar baby, and before she had kids was a model and a huge party girl. She had kids because father-in-law wanted them, and she wanted to keep him, and she was not a good mother. She is super immature and flighty and was always pawning the kids off on the nannies. My husband agrees that she was not abusive, but has a lot of resentment that she didn't want to be a mom. I was kind of insecure when he brought me into the family because I've always been the plain Jane sneakers and t-shirt type, and before me, he dated a lot of beautiful girls, mostly the aspiring actresses or models, party type girl. He assured me that was just his wild phase and he wanted to be with me. Mother-in-law has always been snide about how I'm not as attractive as his exes. Recently, I heard him talking on the phone to his cousin, and I know that I shouldn't have listened, but I heard my name and I heard him talking about his mom, so I eavesdropped. He was complaining about how horrible mother-in-law is because she sent a birthday card to our son and got the name wrong. We have 3 boys, and I don't think she knows which is which, and had the age he was versus the age he was turning. My husband said that he knows I'm not that great looking and everyone thought it was a joke when he married me, but at least I am a great mom and I am going to be a great grandmother. He went on to say that everyone thought he was crazy, but it was his endgame all along to marry someone not super attractive because he didn't want a leech like his dad got, and boring-looking women made kick-ass moms. I confronted him as soon as he got off the phone, and he was clearly mortified that I had heard. He tried to backtrack, but then he admitted that he was never as physically attracted to me as his previous girlfriends. But he was ready to settle down, and he wanted his kids to have a good mom and not someone vain and self-absorbed like his mom. He said that he did the right thing because we are such a happy family, but when I pressed him, he admitted again that he isn't that attracted to me. I don't know if this is something we can recover from. I don't want to divorce because we are a happy family, and he is a good husband and a great dad, but I can't stop thinking about it and feeling humiliated, and I am angry that he was talking so openly about it. I feel like everyone in his life knows and is laughing. Can a marriage survive without that attraction? And is it worth it to know he is settling? To clarify, my sister-in-law is my husband's brother's wife. Let's call her Manda. Manda and I both married our respective husbands around 3 years ago. Manda and I are both really different. She is a strong, independent career woman who works really hard and is in a position where she is recognized at work for it. Frankly, I admire her for this. However, this means that she is always working hard and rarely able to help with chores. They hire help for this, so it's not like it's going unattended to. My husband, on the other hand, makes enough such that I am able to work only about 30 hours a week, and I am really grateful for this. In my spare time, I am more than happy to bake for the in-laws, make lunch boxes for my husband, clean up the house. I think that both our choices are not wrong, and neither of us is better than the other for this. Unfortunately, our mother-in-law doesn't think this way. She doesn't approve of Manda's career choices and constantly compares us, to the point of embarrassing me too. She constantly makes snide remarks about Manda's lack of care for her husband, and that she would probably be a bad and absent mother. Manda has reached out to me to request that I stop being such a housewife and doing subservient things for my husband, to stop making her look bad. She said that what I'm doing is setting back progress. What should I do? It's not my fault that our mother-in-law compares us, and I have tried to speak up for Manda on multiple occasions already. I've asked my husband to speak to his brother about it, but his brother actually said he wishes Manda would be more like me and less focused on her work. Any advice would be greatly appreciated.